Happy Monday and welcome to your Mental Health Mini. This week's guest is Amanda White, also known as at Therapy for Women, and we are talking about what your favorite Taylor Swift song says about your mental health. I want to talk about Taylor Swift therapy because I love this series that you've been doing, and I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan. Tell us about Taylor Swift therapy.
So it's funny. I started doing it because a few years ago, I did this TikTok that was like my favorite sessions with clients, because I happen to have a lot of clients who love Taylor Swift. And I said this TikTok that ended up going viral that was like, my favorite sessions with clients are the ones where they tell me what song they can't stop listening to, because it gives me so much insight into what they're going through. And people started messaging me being like, I can't stop listening to this song. What does that mean? So I started taking requests and I started doing that.
Can we do a couple as examples for listeners? Okay, perfect. Do you have any in mind that are like very universally applicable that most people know? Because I know not everyone's going to be a niche Taylor Swift listener.
Yes. I think a lot of people know the song Peace. So I think that one is a really powerful one that talks about, would it be enough if I can never bring you peace? I can give you my best, but like the rain is always going to come when you're standing with me. It's just around the corner. And she said that she wrote it about fame. But I really think if you look at it from a mental health lens, a lot of times I've talked to clients about it who've been in a relationship. They are the one that struggles with their mental health. Maybe they have a partner that doesn't, and they feel very connected because they feel like I'm always going to be, struggling in some way, or I'm always going to have some sort of issue that I'm working through. I'm not like a peaceful person that will just be really calm in a relationship. Maybe you're someone who has some anxious attachment and you kind of like push back and forth, or you push your partner away, and they really connect to that and feeling like, can this person still choose to be with me even if I'm not going to be, the peaceful person in the relationship?
Yeah. Another one that everyone is giving their 2 cents on is Right Where You Left Me. What does that mean? Give us the analysis.
It probably means that you are watching people around you growing up, maybe getting married, getting into a relationship, maybe moving on in their life in some capacity, and you feel really stuck, and you literally feel like you're stuck in the restaurant as everyone else is moving on. And I think it is a very universal feeling. As a culture, we do have this, especially women, I think, have this pressure, right, to fit in, to do what everyone else is doing, pressure to be in the same life stage as your friends. And as you get older, people split off into different life stages, even if they're the same age. And I think that that's something that's really tough.
Yeah. What about Afterglow?
I love Afterglow. I think that and The Archer are very like lots of anxious undertones for sure. It's also though kind of beautiful in both of them because she is kind of taking responsibility in them. She's saying, like, don't leave, I messed it up. She's taking responsibility. And like after being in a fight with someone, I think a lot of times, even if someone isn't in a romantic relationship, they can connect to the sentiment of turbulence, right? Even if it's like, I messed up a relationship with my friend or my family member. Even like, I think you could mess up something at a job or something and hope that someone will give you that grace and meet you in the place where you've apologized and meet you there.
Totally. Have you done an analysis on Labyrinth? Because I feel like that would also be a really interesting one.
I need to dive into that one more. There's definitely obviously a lot of anxiety I think in that one. Also, there's a really amazing podcast called Switched on Pop. They did a episode on Midnights, and they talked about, how in Midnights, a lot of the songs don't ever kind of crescendo, for lack of a better word. Like the beat never fully drops. And they talked about that as a whole metaphor for being up in the middle of the night, not ever getting relief. Like even they said kind of with how the beginning opens in Lavender Haze, very like, how her voice is distorted in different songs. And they talked about that as a production metaphor for not recognizing yourself and being half asleep. And like the anxiety is why the beat never like drops.
I love that. The last one that I'll ask you about, would've, could've, should've. Like I feel like for the emotional girlies, that one like really broke the internet.
Yes, I love that one so much. I really do think it's pretty literal in terms of like looking back on old relationships. I think it could be a situation that you're looking back on too, like years later, a different perspective and recognizing how like messed up it was.
Yeah. The other two that I think very much broke the mental health world is You're on Your Own Kid and This Is Me Trying. Like those two,
yes.
I feel like people deeply resonated with from like a mental health side of things.
Yes, I've done both of those before. You're on Your Own Kid is just one of the absolute best songs she's ever written. It's one of my absolute favorites. I loved Mastermind too. I think a lot of people related to, you know, being controlling and being manipulative because of our anxiety, because of wanting things to work out.
If
too.
you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yes.
What can you say?
Yes, exactly.
If you enjoyed this week's Mental Health Mini, you can listen to the full episode. It is episode 166, featuring Amanda White, also known as At Therapy for Women. A link to the full episode is in the show notes. As always, make sure to leave a review, subscribe, share with a friend or family member, and follow it at She Persisted Podcast. Thanks for listening.